you. Thank you, Dr. Ray. We'll go ahead and throw up our little presentation here and get started. Can everyone see the screen all right?
Yeah, that looks great. I like the PowerPoints.
All right. Well, thank you. And I hope y'all are doing well. We've got not a lot of people, but maybe that was my fault. I apologize for sending out the meeting notice a little bit late this afternoon, but we're glad you're here either live or watching the tape afterwards. But welcome to the December 6th meeting for the National 4-H GIS GPS Leadership Team. So we'll go ahead and get started. First thing up on the agenda is we want to go ahead and see, is there anyone who would be able to take notes for tonight? All right, we'll come back to that. And would anyone want to facilitate? Well, it looks like if we're going by the rotation, we've talked about California would be up next to facilitate. I don't see anyone on.
Sudy did send an email today notifying that he had a conflict for tonight, so
all right,
will not be here this evening.
Sounds good. Well, we will we'll put it in the notes that California is going to take over for next month. Give me just a second. I can't see you all, so I want to fix that. Okay, perfect. All right. Before I move on, is there anyone who could take notes for me, just so we can keep a record of what was said tonight? Jeff, don't make me volunteer you. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move forward. So tonight's map of the month is about barking dogs along a route. So I thought it was a cute little map to share. It's about these people in San Diego County who go on a daily walk. And so they wanted to see if they could map out in their neighborhood where the dogs would bark at them. And so you can see there's different size purple dots on the map, and some small ones, maybe one or two little growls or woofs, and you know, all the way to these big dots around here that show crazy amounts of barking and lots of running, maybe a little bit of intimidation there. So I figured that would be interesting to share with you all. But let's move on to state updates. So is anyone on? Let's see, Sudy said that he had a conflict. So is anyone able to go on for Iowa?
No updates.
All right, no updates for Iowa. Louisiana?
I like how me and friends look at each other just waiting to see who's going to get the update. Well, I mean, the latest update for us is we kicked off a tech club at a different county that's been really affected by Hurricane Ida. And so that's basically our 4-H tech club update.
All right, well, thank you.
And I'll add to that. The Academy girls have requested starting a club at their school in Baton Rouge. So
awesome. I want to apologize. I skipped over California. Vidhya, I didn't see you on the call, but you said you had some state updates for California.
Hi. Yes. It's Ben. Sorry.
No, all good.
I just shared whatever that Sudy shared with us. So he's actually in the school. I just got to know a few minutes before, and I'm rushing to home just to join this meeting, and I'm going to again hop off back in 20 minutes to pick him up again. I have to go to school again. Sorry about that.
No, all good. I'm glad he's staying busy and he's got lots of great things going for him. So that's great. All right. Well, thank you. And we'll go ahead and skip on down to New York.
My, what beautiful scenery you have placed in the back. That's wonderful.
It's not familiar, is it?
I don't even know what that is.
We
I have
live in
no clue either.
upstate.
New
buddy.
York.
Yeah, where's the valleys?
I know.
Ugh.
I've been to upstate New York. I've never been to the city.
Good. Kelly, would you like me to update them? I don't
For
really.
Sure, we had a great meeting last week.
Last week, well, a couple meetings ago, I think it was 2 months ago, we set out, told our state team how to work with Survey 123 and the different implications that it could have, showing them examples and whatnot. And we tasked them with building their own Survey 123. That would be like user-friendly and something that they could easily share out between whatever, friends, family members, random people. And so the results that we got in were great. I actually wasn't there for the first half of them, so I don't know how that went, but the two that I did see were quite well put together.
Awesome. Great.
What were you guys mapping?
They were mapping stars. I was mapping cars.
Stars and cars. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So y'all been busy in New York. And don't forget, Kelly, you all went down to the conference in, was it Memphis?
Yeah, so Austin
we'll-
joined me. Yep.
Yeah,
That was
we'll get into that hopefully in the old business. We look forward to hearing about that. On to North Carolina.
All right, now how come North Carolina doesn't get a cool picture like California or like New York?
Do you want me to put the Wright brothers up or what? Honestly,
Something.
I
I'm just a little hurt that New York got all this attention. Then it's like North Carolina.
well, to be quite honest, I just typed it into PowerPoint and the quick ideas popped up that for New York and nothing for North Carolina. So maybe
Really?
you should become more interesting as a state.
I think we need to sue Microsoft.
Okay, that works.
All right. So for North Carolina, just a heads up that Nikhil will be on a little bit later this evening. He has a class that he's in until 8:30. But for us, we are doing one more revision. So we had originally planned on implementing our Survey 123 in November. Our food security manager asked that we postpone until this month. So we're planning on implementing in December. But it is going to be a county-wide administration of this survey that our team has developed. So it's very exciting. The county is taking it and using it as their own. So while we will be administering some of the surveys, there will be volunteers and staff across the county administering the survey. So we're very excited about that work. And in that postponement of the administration, they do have a couple of additional questions they want us to ask. So we've got to do one more revision to our Survey 123, and then sometime this month it should launch. So that's probably the biggest update for right now. And so North Carolina is finished.
Great, thank you, Dr. Ray. Moving on, I'm sorry, Ohio.
Oh my goodness. Seriously?
Telling you, just become more interesting. Tennessee's got a blank one too, so don't feel bad. All right, I don't think there's anyone on from Ohio, so we will move on to Tennessee. And the only update I have is that Austin was able to attend along with some of the other states at the 4-H educators conference in Memphis. That, from what I went through and watched the recording, it looked like they had a great presentation and gave lots of information. So hopefully we'll get some new recruits out of that presentation, which will be one of our topics discussed in new business tonight. So moving on with that, we're going to start with old business. So, well, maybe I just didn't give it time. Don't know. That's strange. I definitely put stuff in for old business. All right, well, we'll just revert back to the plain old agenda, but for old business, the first thing is back in, let's see, last month we talked about the health summit that's coming up in February of 2022. Looked like we had about 3 youth at that call who were interested in presenting, including myself, Nikhil from North Carolina, and then Sudy from California. If there's any other youth that are interested in presenting, we would love to have you join that effort to talk about Where's the Food Project and other things that are going to be discussed in the presentation within the workshop.
Ben,
What,
sorry. Can I jump
sure.
in real quick?
Sure.
So I was chatting with Austin at the conference, and he was checking with Mr. Crow, who coordinates the Healthy Living Summit conference, and to see if we were able to still get like a proposal put in. So once they, I think the deadline had passed for getting a proposal in to present at that. So he was double checking to see
okay.
if we could still get in. So I think once they took a look at all the proposals that came in, if they were still looking for some additional ones, then he said that, you know, we'd probably be able to get on the agenda to teach there again. But so it's not a
Okay.
guarantee just yet.
All right, we can, yeah, we'll talk about that more under new business. I'm just covering what we talked about last month to give everyone an idea of what we've been working on.
Question in the
but-
chat, Ben.
Yes.
There's a question in the chat. It says, when is the summit? And the summit traditionally is the President's Day weekend of February of 2022. I don't have my calendar for February, but it's usually a Saturday or Sunday of that 3-day weekend. That's President's Day weekend.
Okay, thank you, Tom. All right, so the rest of the old business, basically, this past month we had Kelly and Austin go to the NAE 4-H YDP conference, which is a someone correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a conference for 4-H educators from across the nation, and so they were able to present on behalf of the team, along with, I think, Louisiana, California both sent in online recordings that were played for the participants. The next thing we talked about last month was the calendar update. So basically listing each state alphabetically, and so the order of who moderates for each monthly call is determined based on that alphabetical order of states. And the last thing that was discussed last month was about professional development updates. So I know David's worked a lot with putting together a survey where he collected youth information about what they would be interested in hearing. And I know on the adult call for this month, we talked in depth about that. So there's a lot of good things coming with that, but that's just what we covered last month. So is there anything anyone wants to talk about on old business before we move on?
Yeah, kind of in relation to that of I've been working on, I guess, follow up to that meeting was working on putting a page together. I'm blanking out on what's his name was, but putting a page together and then kind of like a rebranding 4-H, national 4-H site thing using Hub. So then anyone can come in and add pages and stuff too. So hopefully I'll have that done. We'll see over the holidays how much time I have, but maybe January, February.
Awesome, great. Perfect. Is there anything else we want to talk about in old business before we move on to new business?
Ben, this is Tom.
Hi, Tom.
An old business that becomes new business is that traditionally each fall, this team, the GG Elite team, reviews last year's recruiting outline for recruiting members for next year's team, meaning 2022 coming up. And that draft resides on the website, on the GG Lead website. And it's currently the recruiting papers for the recruiting period that we've already completed, and those people that are on this year's team were recruits from that process. But usually at this time, we revise that to update it for 2023 and so on. And I know that David's on, Debbie and I corresponded some over the weekend about making some edits to the old one. She was unable to join us this evening, but she was going to look at the edits that were needed and share them with the group, for this evening, but that's not going to happen this evening. But it could happen in the next 24, 48 hours. And so maybe that's old businesses. Our recruiting effort over, during January, February, and March, these would be the details of the recruiting papers that those on this call and future calls could use to recruit new members for the team. Thomas, you've been a part of this process, and you might have something you'd like to add to that, or Kelly as well. I guess we all probably have used the papers in the past. Excuse me. But that's old business, but yet it's future business as well.
All right. Thank you, Tom. We will definitely get to that here in just a minute. All right. And hearing nothing else, we'll move on to new business. So the first thing that was requested, I think, Tom, you requested to talk about the Where's the Food project along with the National Healthy Living Summit. So I'll turn that over to you.
Well, thank Austin and Kelly and others who in Sudy and others who contributed to the terrific presentation down in Memphis. Went into great detail, and I think we're able to recruit a number of people who express interest in being involved in the Where's the Food effort in the future. That's really the exciting part of what came from that. And Kelly has those names, and trust in her collection of material, things that business cards or however you gather that information up in Memphis, down in Memphis, over in Memphis, depending on where you are in the country. But I think looking forward, we just filed our 12-month report about the Where's the Food project to the foundation, who has provided support for our future travel and related to the project. And they were very positive in their receipt of the final 12-month report, and encouraged us to be ready to reapply for future round of funding in the months out in front of us. So that's some very positive news from our funder about their continuing to want to move forward with the project. And so that lays the groundwork for our thinking about scheduling. I know that the 4 scholars, they were very, very impressed with the fact that we had had a roadmap, out 12, 18 month roadmap out in front of us with some great ideas about what to do. And they were extremely excited about that. So we want to begin to, as a part of Where's the Food, those who are involved in it and would like to become involved more deeply in it, to lay out a calendar, of the 2022, kind of go through that. We'll probably need to schedule a Where's the Food Zoom call, sometime early January, that where our objective would be to lay out the calendar, for what, go through all the details of what we have, maybe have a 45, 60-minute call. And the objective would be to lay out what we hope for and expect to accomplish over the next, the months ahead in 2022, 12 to 18 month timeframe. Just look out there and rough out some dates, because Kelly and others in Austin have cards and names of people that we want to follow up with, like we did some in 2021. We had some follow-up efforts, but we learned some lessons about how not to follow up and how to follow up, and what do we learn about that process that we can benefit from in moving forward and growing this out into in our own states where we've got good roadmap, but also the chart for moving forward into new states as well. There was also a website developed, and it's where's the food .us. And I don't know if that's been shared widely amongst this team or not, but you just WHERESTEPHOOD.us. And that's, are we able to take a peek at that for one moment? No, .us.
So
And maybe you need to put a www on the front of it, maybe. I
You
don't
have to remove the, just go HTTP. To do HTTPS, there you go.
So there's tabs for all of the scholars' work laid out, the toolbox, so people can find them.
So what is the website? Can somebody type in here?
Say it again, please.
So
Yeah.
is it healthdata2action.com?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Tom.
I put it in the chat, Vidya. Where's the food.us?
Where is the food.us? Okay, let me try that.
Yeah, look right above Esther's comment. So if you click right there, Ben, go back up for a minute. That's the scholars projects.
It says site can be
Yeah.
reached. I don't know why.
What does it say?
I'm not able to open the website. It says site can be reached.
For where's the food.us?
Yes.
Anybody else having trouble with it? It should. Let me see.
But when you use that, where's the food.us, it does forward you to healthdata2action.com. But
it's not HTTPS is the reason that link didn't work. So the one I sent should work for you.
In the chat, correct?
Correct.
I
The
don't know.
link
For some
sent.
reason, it's not working still. Let me see one more time.
Okay. I was going to say double check. Try the one
Oh,
I
yes,
sent.
it's working. Yeah.
Okay.
It says a health data to action.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
It
So
words,
It redirects to the health data for action. Yeah,
which has been redesigned.
right.
So you can go right in here and enter your name and zip code, or
So it's a work in, I guess Austin's not on the report. It's a work in progress. This is just a first cut.
all right. I like it. It looks great. What do you all think?
So this is really cool, actually.
Yeah, they've done a lot of work. All right, perfect.
So we're putting up the flag for, this is the work in progress, as was pointed out, and we're open to feedback and comments and suggestions from y'all, you know. And I know that even the scholar sections differ a little bit in their format and look and feel, and each of the scholars would be encouraged to look at their own and look at the others and say, oh, I should maybe incorporate that part in mine too. You know, when, you know, one of those, you know, steal the good ideas from each of the scholars, steal the ideas from each other, and bring about some more uniformity in our look and feel, you know, so they look more like each other. For the people we recruit in the future, the idea is this is a toolbox that we can pass to them, you know, during you take them, use the toolbox during our training workshops and follow up when we're recruiting with them, get a one-on-one telephone connection with them and go through this website and help them understand and carry out the tools that we've developed through the first 12 months of this effort. Does that make sense?
Yes, Tom.
Good. Any other thoughts, questions? Fran, you've been deeply involved in this. What any thoughts you'd like to add?
No, I mean, just what I said, it's a work in progress. It's, needs to be, worked on.
Polished.
Yep, polished. Polished is a good way to say it. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And so the next thing up on the agenda would be new member recruitment forms. So Tom, we're going to turn it back to you.
And on the Where's the Food website, there is a link right there on that Where's the Food website that goes to the GG lead. I think it's back one. Let's see, I keep jumping around so much.
Down here.
Where's that scholar? Oh, okay, yeah, there you go. There you go. And see where it says apply to join the 2021-22 national. There are the guidelines. So those are the guidelines. And basically all we're talking about is going in and changing making the edits to this that are needed to make it current. And then that's available for printing out and sharing with those who we hope to consider joining our effort, in the next round. And the one piece where it says applications will be accepted until March 15th, 2021. I've always had a question about why that has to be locked into such a hard date, and people then explained to me, well, in order to be ready for San Diego, we need enough lead time to get people, up to speed and so on. But I always wondered, why can't we recruit people continuously and bring them in? I mean, why is it that we just have this one date? And I just throw that question out for open thought and consideration. But basically, this is what Debbie was going to go through and do the pen and ink changes on this, these documents for our consideration and suggest any other changes. So Ben, would it be appropriate to maybe make this a homework assignment? Each of us on the call would look at these forms and come on with your own pen and ink suggestions and thoughts and changes to make it more usable for you in use in recruiting new members.
I think that's reasonable. We can put it on next month's agenda. So I'll make sure that gets on there. So basically, to recap, Tom, Tom was talking about how we have an application. It's due usually every year on March 15th or around that time frame, and it's a set deadline. It's been that way in the past because we typically attend in person to San Diego, and so we want to ensure that everyone has time to join the team, get acquainted, and get all their paperwork in before we head off to our yearly meeting in person in San Diego. So if y'all want to look through, I'll copy this right here. And Vidhya may have already posted it, it looks like, but those team applications, you can look through the youth and the adult applications. Just if you see any verbiage that you think should be changed or anything, it's kind of a homework assignment, is come back next month and let's talk about it. All right. Is that it for that, Tom?
And I guess the other part of the recruiting is not just the form itself, but to be thinking, between homework assignment between now and January, our first Monday in January, or whenever our next GG lead huddle is, be thinking about any recruits that in your recruiting pool for who you're going to go after. We'd like to maybe make that a part of the state reports, as a potential homework assignment in January. Please identify, have some names or ideas, concepts about who you might be recruiting to join your state effort in 2022.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that said, is there any new business or additional business? I guess I could put next year in here, since the year's going to be over between now and when we meet next. All right. So I saw Kelly was talking about with the enrollment date. That's a good idea. And then how do we address new orientation of those members into our organization when we have a rolling deadline? One thing I would throw out to think about is if you could maybe orient them if they're in your state, or if not, we could partner up people. So maybe 2 or 3 people work to kind of help mentor and bring them into the program. But either way, something to think about. So you all come back next month with thoughts and ideas for that. But if nobody else has anything to add, then I think we are done for this year.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. And
Merry Christmas.
I guess we can stop recording, but thank you all. And
Great
yes,
job, man.
Tom, that gets you out about 27 minutes ahead of what you were asking for. Or, I'm sorry, Dr. Ray. He's not even, is he?
Ben, are you feeling well? You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
feeling great. All
Okay,
right.
good.
I guess I get to stop the recording.
Yeah, he just left.